Hello, welcome to my channel. I am Michelle and this is Michelle Creates. In this video I'm going to show you how to do loom knitting, and I'm going to make a beanie. And for this one I'm using the 41 peg round loom. Okay, got my loom hook, and I picked for the yarn, this is Heartland and it's made by Lion brand. Okay, the main thing you want to focus on, not necessarily the yarn itself, but meaning the brand, but this is 100% acrylic and it is the 4-weight. Okay, so for this pattern you're going to want a 4-weight yarn. Okay, and this one has 251 yards. Okay, but because it's a 4-weight and I'm going to make a different style hat this time, it's not a chunky yarn, so what I need is to double up my yarn, meaning I'm going to use 2 strands at the same time and just instead of just one. So I ended up buying 2 skeins, and I'll probably be able to get 2 hats out of this, just depending on the style that I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to end up doing with the stitch, I'm going to use a U-wrap. So instead of the E-wrap that I've done before on other beanies that I've made, this one is going to be a U-wrap, so it's going to be a tighter stitch. That's why I'm probably going to end up with extra yarn. Okay, first thing you're going to do is you want to grab the yarn, the strand from the inside, okay, not the outside, because it's so much easier to pull and work with. So you just got to kind of dig in there and find that strand that's on the inside. Okay, so I'm going to do that, and once I get that pulled out, then I'll see you after that. So on this first skein, this one was really in there. This is the inner strand. I ended up, it came out first in a big chunk here, and then I found that the single strand was here, so then I pulled from the inside of this chunk, this part came out, and then I found the single strand here, and then this little part came out, and then I dug inside of that, and I finally found the inside of the strand. So because this is a beginner video, I'm teaching you different things as far as like even how to prep your yarn, because you can't just go from here's your yarn to here's your end result. Like, you have to learn some of the stuff that's in between, and I don't want you to feel like you're ever doing anything wrong, or like I couldn't do that and then you get frustrated. Like, this is a typical thing, trying to get the inside strand, and it truly is so much easier if you do that. Don't just try to go from the outside, because then you have to unwind it and it just doesn't work as easy. Okay, so now I'm going to grab the next skein and find the inside. Okay, the second one was so much easier. I only ended up pulling out like just one chunk here. How can I tell like where that I pulled out enough? Because you'll always see like one strand by itself hanging out. That's how you separate them. That one was just one chunk, and I ended up just digging in the middle of that, and I found the inside here. So this will save me a lot of time because it won't get knotted up, and I don't have to use my hand to unwind. I just pull it. Okay, you want to keep your two yarns, your skeins, separated from each other. Don't let those get wound up together or mixed in, because then you'll create a twist or a knot with that as well. Okay, so there's your yarn prep. Now we're going to get to the loom. Okay, next thing I'm going to grab also, because I want to keep track of my rows, I'm grabbing number cards. So I have numbers on these, and that will help me keep track of what row I'm on. So I've got it lined up where I've got my number 1, obviously. First thing we're going to do is a cast on, and this cast on will be an E-wrap. Okay, so I want to create my knot here to hold my yarn on my loom. So I'm just going to do a single knot, and obviously everything is with both pieces of yarn now. 2 will become 1. Just a single knot, doesn't have to be too long here on the end. And I'm going to put this on that front peg. All right, right here. And I'm going to put it on this way with the working yarn, which is going to be the side that you're going to use. That's your working yarn. Okay, that's to the right. I'm a right-handed person, so I'm going to go to the right. You can go either way, it doesn't matter. And don't tie it too tight, because you're going to be pulling this off after a couple rows. Okay, so I got that on. And now I'm going to do my E-wrap. So for the E-wrap, you are going to take your yarn and go in between the first peg and the last peg, go in between that towards the back, and you take your yarn from behind the peg around to the front. Go to the next one, behind the peg, around to the front, behind and around to the front. So that's your whole pattern, okay? You are creating a lowercase e, the shape of an E. That's how I take it. That's why they call it that. When you're doing your cast on, I also right away take my hand, the other hand, and push these down on the peg. Okay, don't leave them up here, because for the next row, you're gonna need these down here. Okay, you wanna keep the rows separate to be able to yarn over. So right from the get-go, as I'm doing my E-wrap, I'm taking my other hand and I'm pushing that yarn down. That will save you some time. And just going all the way around and getting that first row of your cast on. Okay, this yarn wants to stick inside here a little bit. I just would like to pull out enough here to be able to work with, and I'm just kind of separating this. It's the only thing is it will get stuck a little bit. Every skein is different. Like some are like fantastic, I don't have to do this at all, and then some are just wound different. And so don't think you're doing anything wrong. You just have to take the time, and you don't want to aggravate it by pulling it tight. You want to just kind of pull it apart here to loosen it. Okay, you'll find different, whoops, I'm sorry, I don't mean to go out of the camera. You'll find different techniques to get your twists out. You just have to have the patience to do that. Okay. And actually what I don't know, I almost feel like I want to take this off and find where it's stuck and pull that through the other end, if that makes sense. Like here, just pull that and get that whole nut out. So here's a little hint as we go along. That's basically what my videos are for. They're not just to show you fancy patterns. They're literally to show you how to do it from the beginner standpoint, but also give you tips, because everything doesn't work the same. Now I'm separating these two pieces. I want to get this completely out of the way. I don't want to get these knotted up. Okay, now I want to find where, right here, okay, I want to pull this out of that. So I'm just going to take that. This will alleviate a lot of time wasted. And you know, some may be watching the video and they'll go, well, get to the project. Well, okay, so this might happen to you, and I'm kind of saving some time for you to, you know, maybe it's more important to fix something as you see it happening besides just starting your stitches, because I guarantee you this will happen at some point, and you don't want to get frustrated with your projects and give up because you don't know how to fix it, or that you think you're causing it. You're not. So I think this is a good lesson here. And I couldn't have predicted this. I had no idea that this was going to do this. But I don't mind taking the time to go through here and get this straightened out. And it really had nothing to do with the way I pulled it out. It's just that this one was like a crazy mess. I don't know how they wound this one up. Okay, so I'm going to keep working on this, and then once I get this straightened out, then I'll start to do my cast on. All right, we're back on. That one wasn't too bad. I think some people might do this too. They take this whole thing and unwind it and make it into a ball just to prevent knots, future knots from happening. But I'm not going to do that with this. All right, so we're on the cast on, and I got the first three, pushing it down with my other hand. So we're just going to keep going around, wrapping it and pushing it down so it's ready to go for the next row. Okay, some of this first part I'm gonna do this live. I'm not gonna cut. But once I get to just doing rows and I've got the stitch established for you, then I'll end up cutting and going to the end All right, so there's your first one. Now, because it's in the round, we're going to make a tube for our hat. You're going to keep going in the same direction. My yarn is already pushed down, ready to go. And so I'm going to continue doing the E-wrap around one more time. And I'm not counting rows right now with my cards here because this is just the cast on. This doesn't count for a row. That will start next. Sometimes when I use the weight 4 acrylic yarn and I want to do this U-wrap stitch, which is a tighter stitch, so I need to double the strands. I don't buy 2 skeins because sometimes the skeins are large enough, and so I just use the inner strand of yarn and the outer. That's fun too because that actually gets really twisted. So I'm going to be doing that in another video to show you how to manage that. Okay, now I'm at the end and I've got 2 pieces of yarn on my peg. Okay, I'm back at the starter peg. Now what I'm going to do, I'm holding the working yarn down with my thumb, grab my hook, and I'm going to start yarning over all these. Okay, so taking my hook, I go from underneath. It's easier, I found, to go underneath the yarn and yarn it over the peg, okay, versus this way. I don't like the way it twists the hook and my wrist and all that. So I just go from underneath and yarn over. And now I can let go of that and proceed to go all the way around. Don't worry about pulling it for your tension. Just get it over the peg. Don't worry about, oh, I pulled it too far, I didn't pull it enough. It'll work itself out. All right, so continue doing that and I'll meet you at the end. All right, so I have all of the yarn yarned over and I still have the yarn up. I didn't push it down yet with my hand. So now I'm just gonna take my thumb and go all the way around and push that yarn down. Okay, you can find which one you like better, you know, pushing it down as you go, or you can wait and do it like I just did. It doesn't take that much extra time. Still have this on here, okay, to anchor it down. Now I'm going to start with my rows. So I've got my my number card on row 1, so we're going to keep it on that. And now this is the stitch. Okay, I'm going to be creating a brim on this, a foldable and sewn in brim. So I am going to keep track of the rows and I'm going to shoot for between 16 and 20, just depending on how wide that I want it, and I'll be able to tell as I'm doing this. Okay, so some of the stuff, you don't have to get too stuck on a certain pattern, like I can only do 5 rows. Like just kind of eyeball it because each yarn is different and you might want something wider, more narrow, bigger, thicker. So just kind of watch that. Okay, so for right now, my rows that I'm going to do for the rim or the brim are undetermined. Okay, starting my stitch, I'm going to do the U-wrap. So I'm going to take the yarn from behind here. Okay, it's going in between the 2 first and last peg, and I'm going to wrap it around to the front. Okay, I'm going to wrap it around to the front and to the back only. Now I'm going to hold the yarn down with my other hand, and then I'm going to yarn that over. So I'm doing 1 peg at a time. First one is always hard to pull. Okay, because I'm pulling this yarn. All right, this one's going to be a little harder to pull. It's okay. Just yarn that over. Now go on to the next one. You go in front of the peg and around to the back. Hold it down with your other hand. Okay, the hand that's back there. And then just yarn that over. And I'm pushing these down right away. Okay, so yarn, wrap, yarn over. While my hand is still there, push down, wrap, yarn over, push down. That's it, the 3 things for each peg. Okay, keep going. I'll see you at the end. All right, I'm on the end of the row, the last peg, so I'll yarn that over. Okay, that was row 1. Now I'm going to move on to row 2. Okay, and I'm going to do 1 more row before I pull off this yarn. Okay, I really want to make sure that that's anchored in. So proceed, keep doing your rows, and then I'll let you know how many we are doing for that brim, and then I'll show you how to sew that part on. Okay, so I'm still on row 2. Okay, and I'm trying to pull my yarn through here, and you know, it's getting a little caught inside. So of course I'm not going to take it off the loom and start over like I did before. So all you have to do is kind of shake it a little bit. Don't force your yarn, because you're going to start to create a knot, and you really don't want to tighten up yarn. It's hard to get out. So just kind of shake it and just let it kind of work itself out here. I mean, it will. I know if you start to pull on it super tight and you don't kind of let this guide itself, you're going to end up with a knot. And I've seen that happen so many times with people. And that's not fun, trying to take that out. So just take your time, figure out where it's getting caught. Okay, so yeah, it happens. Okay, I just finished row 2. So I'm going to switch my number, and then also I'm going to take my anchor yarn off of this peg. And got it off. I'm also going to take out the knot. So pull that apart. Okay, interesting. And then I want to pull this tail through and let it hang down below. Just gotta get both pieces. Whoops, 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 whoops. Sorry, I hit the camera. There we go. All right, so you got that off. Now you're going to proceed and keep doing your U-wrap all the way around, and then we'll let you know how many rows we're actually going to do. So just a little tidbit for your setup, just in case you're wondering, like, I'm not really comfortable. Typically I'll do something like this on my lap, sitting on a chair or the sofa, holding my loom in my lap. I might have a footstool with the yarn like in a tray or something to hold it so it doesn't fall on the floor. If I have got the 2 skeins, or let's say they're in a ball, I'll put them in a bowl, keeping the skeins separate so they don't start to get twisted, you know, and you could just like set that a few feet away if you've got the space, or even on the floor. But you want to be able to keep an eye and make sure that you're not winding the 2 strands together and creating a knot. But no, you do not need a table to have to do this. Just put it in your lap, okay? And this is a fun project where you can kind of carry it wherever you are. So if you've got time to work on this, waiting for something, it's pretty compact. All right, so I decided to do 34 rows. And next part I'm gonna do is we're gonna fold this up, and we're gonna make this into a brim, okay? So taking my loom now where the starter peg is, I'm gonna make sure my yarn is in between the first and the last pegs here. Make sure it's going out to the front, and I'm gonna turn that away from me. So I'm gonna start with the end, okay, or the beginning of the hat, and I'm going to take the very edge where the cast on is, and I'm gonna put that onto each peg, okay? So starting with this stitch here, this would have come off that anchor peg. So I'm going to start with that one right there, and I'm going to put that on the first peg, and then just grab each stitch. And this is from the cast on. Make sure, actually, let me go back. Make sure that you're only grabbing one, okay, which is, it's 2 strands of yarn together to make one. Just grab the one. Don't grab 4 strands, just grab the 2, okay, if that makes sense. It's the outer, the very, very first one that you wrapped on. Grab that. See where it's just the 2 strands, but it became 1 strand, 1 stitch. Okay, I'm grabbing those loops. All right, so it's right in the middle of that cast on stitch. And you'll be able to see. They're loose, first of all, so it's easier for you to see it. They're pretty prominent, and that's the very first stitch that you'll see, or the very first loop. Make sure that you're grabbing 2 strands because it is double-stranded, but it's just that very edge loop. Anyway, so you're just going to keep going around and putting each of those on, okay, until you get to the end. I'll meet you before you get to the very end, though. I'm down to the last 2. I still have 2 more to put on. I have my little tail here. I'm going to tuck that inside, just shove that in between the 2 pieces, okay? Get that in there pretty good. And then Get your last 2 loops on. They get harder at the end here because they're tighter. I want to make sure that I'm grabbing both strands and that they're the outer. I'm gonna push that back in, and then that very last one is the hardest one of all. Just want to make sure I get the 2 strands. This one is a little bit harder to see. There we go. Thank you, hook, for helping me. All right, and then again, you still had your working yarn going in between the 2 here. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna yarn over the bottom row over the top. You can start anywhere. You can start this last peg here. That's gonna be your loosest one, okay, because of your working yarn, and work yourself backwards this time. You can start with this one and go here. It's going to be a little tighter though, okay? So either one, but go all the way around, yarning over the bottom stitch, the bottom loop, up to over the top one. All right, and then I'll meet you at the end. Now we have our fold, and this is your brim. So this is what it looks like on the inside, and then this is the good side. This will be the outside. They look the same. I like to make mine, as far as width, kind of covering the ears. So this, like if this was a headband, this would cover the ears. So that's usually how I determine how wide I want it. You can go more narrow, you can go a little wider. It doesn't really matter. It's just your own personal preference. But just kind of looking at this, the 34 rows of this yarn, a weight 4, doing the U-knit stitch actually worked out pretty nice. All right, now I've already pushed them down. The next part, I'm just going to do the U-wrap stitch around until I get the desired length. So I'm going to work on that, and I will let you know how many rows I actually did for this pattern. All right, for the total rows, I did 28. Okay, give or take, you can do. Just depends on how big of a hat you want. I think I'm doing this as really no slouch in it, and I measured it on my head. I literally put the hat on my head with this on the loom. All right, next part. What we're gonna do is we're gonna end up taking this off of the loom. So starting in between the 2 pegs here, okay, the yarn, I'm gonna go along the outside of the loom, wrap it around once, and then about a quarter. And then I'm gonna cut that off. Okay, and then I'm going to grab my needle. Well, not my needle, I'm not going to use the needle. We're going to just take the hook, and then with the end here, this loose end, we're going to, with each strand, I'm going to take my hook, go to the first peg, and I'm going to grab the yarn that's on the peg, okay? And then the working yarn here, I'm going to go underneath that, and then I'm going to take my hook and go underneath that yarn that I placed in front here, grab it with the hook, and pull it up through the loop that's on the peg and pull it all the way through. And then I move on to the next one. Go from the top of the peg, top of the yarn, grab it, put the yarn in front, go underneath with the hook, grab that loose yarn, pull it up and all the way through, okay? From the top, hook it, pull the yarn in front, grab it from underneath and pull it through. So you're going to do this for each one, and I will see you at the end. Okay, after I finish that, this is about how much you have left. All right. Now here's actually a good time. If you haven't already, please subscribe. You're going to end up getting notifications if you keep that notification bell on to get the next videos. But yeah, now if you haven't already, now's a good time to subscribe. And if you already have subscribed, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. There are definitely more videos than this that you can watch, and there will be more to come. All right, next part, what we're going to do, that last one that I just put the yarn in, we're going to take this off the loom now. So just remove each from the peg. And then the next part is going to be cinching the top, and that's it. So it's pretty easy, very basic. Definitely get this done within a couple hours. And this yarn is super soft. If you end up getting this yarn, you're going to absolutely love it. It's very soft. It's acrylic, so it'll be warm. It's definitely a 3-season, if you have 3 seasons, a 3-season type material. All right, so we're done with the loom. Next part is, I'm going to turn this inside out, and we're going to pull on the yarn to cinch this together. All right, now it's only going to pull so far because you've got this bulk in here, so it's not going to close up completely. And this is where you're going to grab the needle. I don't know why, but I kind of was jumping ahead and saying I was going to use my needle. Now it's time I'm going to use the needle. So it's pretty closed off right here, okay, the hole. But what we're going to do is weave this in a little bit more. And see how this got a little messy on the end here? I'm just going to clip that off so I can get it in the needle easier. All right. So right in the eye of the needle, leave about that much so it doesn't come out. All right, now we're going to go in the same direction that the yarn is coming out of. So what I'm going to do is skip a couple, and this is right on that very edge. This is the part that you cinch together. This is the cast off. I'm going to grab a couple pieces of yarn and go underneath, okay, right in the middle of the loops, and then pull the yarn through. And then I'm going to skip a few, and then I'm going to grab just a couple, like 2 of them, 2 or 3 at most. Don't do too many because it will show on the other side. And then skip a couple. We've got this pucker here, so I'm watching for that. So I'm going to go up in here and just grab like 2 of them. I'm on the very edge, meaning that's my cast off. Don't go too far in. You don't want to start sewing the actual hat. We're just doing that whole part. And this will probably be the last one I do. Okay. And it is closed up. Should not be any hole there at this point. And then what I'm going to do is knot this off. So I'm going to go in one more fairly close, 1 or 2, whatever you can grab. Don't pull it all the way through. You're going to make a loop. And then I'm going to take my, okay, I got the loop. I'm going to take my needle and go through the loop, go through the middle. All right. And pull that to tighten. Okay. And that should secure that. I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to go right next to that knot. I'm going to do one more of these. So go underneath, probably just one loop. It's 2 strands of yarn, but it's 1 loop. Put my needle through the middle and pull that through and tighten that off. All right, that's it. Yarn is secure. It's all closed up. Snip it off, leave about 1 inch. That's the inside of the hat. And then turn it right side out. Now, because you did a U-wrap, it's a little bit tighter. You can stretch this out a little bit just to kind of move the yarn and get it, you know, sometimes it's tighter in some spots. You just kind of eyeball that, stretch it out. It's got a nice stretch. So this is definitely, can fit a men's head. I know the E-wrap definitely fits a men's head. The U-wrap is a little bit more snug, but there you go. There is your double strand acrylic loom knit hat or beanie. This is very, very nice looking. Love it. And it's super soft. All right. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope this helped. Hope you had a fun time making it. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. And I will see you in the next video.